We just found out about the Feast of Beasts, and we're still talking to Chimi, trying to figure everything out. Thank you so much for joining me, and remember, if you like the video, hit like and subscribe, and you'll get notified when I post new videos. I try to post quite often, and stream live. So, anyways, let's get into it. Chimi. But is someone really gonna die again tonight?
もう二人も死んでるじゃん。実際は顔を盗まれた誰かも死んでるかもしれないけど。まずい。死体片付けるならできるだけ調べておかないと。複数人の死体が混じってないかとか。
We already know who's in the village, so.
それ朝一で肝臓じいちゃんが調べた。骨も内臓も2人分しかないって。
え、本当？彼はプロなの？
漁師だから動物ばらすのは得意よ。
Well, that made sense.
関連して思い出した。ある意味もっと大事なことだ。どうしてここを逃げ出して警察を呼ぼうとしない？はぐらかさず話してもらうよ。僕は今自分が取れる最善の手段としてそうすべきだと思っているんだからね。
Right. I mean, you don't have to tell them it's werewolves. You could just say 2 people are dead. I was aware the people here were superstitious, but those superstitions are getting people killed. Yeah. So why was not a single person objecting?
ここからは逃げられない。
どういう意味か話せない？
ちょっと難しい。けど私たちは知ってるんだ。
But you left to go to school, didn't you?
どうやったってここから逃げられない。この霧を抜けることは絶対にできない。知っているからあえてそれをやりたくない。
それは体験または教育された？
ごめん、はっきりはわからないんだ。ただ知っている。
Well, I's hands were trying, just
宴が始まれば誰も休みずからは逃げられない。
So it wasn't logic, but blind conviction, right? Or perhaps she'd subconsciously gained that knowledge through some experience. Yeah, as if.
根拠はないが、ここからは出られないと思うわけだ。
そうだね。多分みんなそう言うと思う。
ただの盲信である可能性は否定しない？
否定はできない。
山の神に無視されたらしい僕が一人で外に行ってみるよというのを提案したらどうかな？
私は全力で止める。他の人がそれに賛成したとしたら春明さんは死んでもいいって意味。
That was pretty scary.
心配してもらえてるってことかな？
休みずで一番心配してますよ。
ありがとう。愛を感じるよ。
Still, she didn't tell you about anything and left you to die in the outhouse. Oh. She was going all red on me now. This seems to be taking it pretty far for an act.
違います。良識ゆえです。
他の人が良識がないかのような。
少なくともみんなよそ者に対しては見た目よりずっと冷たいと思った方がいいよ。私は半分よそ者みたいなものだからそれがわかるし、親近感は持ってるかな。
I'm still curious about why she didn't want me to drink the tea.
親近感でツーリングにも同意したと？
いや、だってあれが根性の別れになるかもしれなかったし、それならせめて色良い返事をしとこうかなとか。
うわ、道場からの空手型かよ。じゃあこれ抜け出したら改めて誘うぞ。
どうしようかな。あ、でもバイク壊れたから無理じゃ。
デートのためならローンで買い直すし。
デート？そうか、そうなるか。でも学生でローンはまずいでしょ。
Just for you, winky face.
あと
Wink.
どっちにしてもこれで OK したら死ぬ前振りみたいになるから、出られてから考えよう。そうしよう。
Shit. First she was all over me, and now she was playing hard to get. In normal circumstances, that could be kind of fun, but right now, she was the only one I could rely on. The emotional support would have been nice.
話戻るけど、警察については別に今じゃなくても期待できないかな。
超常現象だから。
うん、それもあるけど、上藤吉には駐在さんがいるだけだし、
It's that
休
small,
みず
huh?
で何が起きたって上藤吉は何もしてくれないからね。
うすうす思ってたことがあるんだけど。
正解。
I hadn't even said anything yet.
そうです。安水ってのは要するに藤吉村の中の村8部の集落なんです。
She really did guess what I was gonna say. Ostracism. In ancient times, villages often punished criminals and the like by ostracizing them. They were ignored and excluded from all social welfare aid. Basically, people were excluded from the larger group and treated coldly. It was one step away from banishment. It wasn't just emotional torment either. Back in those days, not getting the help of other people was a matter of life and death, making this quite a harsh punishment.
何かやった人なの？み
I
んな。
wonder if they're the ones that like killed or made the Okami-san mad.
そういうわけじゃない人のが多い。牧島さんちや山脇さんちや室さんちは大昔から安水のものだし。内緒にしてくれる？
Oh,
もちろん。
織部香織さんはもともと樋口家によそから嫁いできたけど、旦那さんがちょっとヘマをして亡くなって、それでまだ小さかった安くん連れてこっちに移り住まされたって聞いてる。
well, that wasn't a pleasant story. I had heard ostracism still survived even in this day and age. Some rural groups would brazenly cut off your gas or water supplies if you didn't fit in. Then again, neighbors in cities had their own communication problems. Basically, humans really hadn't changed much over the years. Still, ostracism because of family troubles in this day and age, it seems so weird, ugly, and behind the times.
モッチーなんて野里家の元嫡男だからね。お坊ちゃまなんだよ、実は。
え、そうなの？
He sure acts like it, jeez.
清之助さんとは叔父と甥の関係。
They were nothing alike.
ただモッチーちょっと変なので養子に出されてそのまま休みず行き。
Oh yeah, Kiyonosuke had said something like that. Sheesh, what century did they think it was?
君は？
はあ、ちょっと悪さが過ぎまして。
昔は荒れてたとか？
まあそういうのダメ？
むしろタイプ。
責めるね、お兄さん。
With her pulling hit and runs, I really had no choice. Anyway, this place was basically abandoned. I couldn't expect any outside help. And everyone here believed they couldn't escape this place due to supernatural reasons. Hello, welcome. Thanks for joining. How's it going? What were my options here? Uh-oh. Well, I'm gonna say stay, because I want to fight these monsters. Being left out of the feast hardly guaranteed my safety. Obviously, escape was the ideal choice, but at this point I didn't see anyone guiding me out. All I had to look forward to was either dropping dead somewhere in the mountains or becoming a snack in this village. The first seemed way more attractive, but unfortunately I'd gotten attached to the people here. Abandoning them would at least make it hard for me to sleep at night. That's why running away wasn't an option for me.
もう聞いちゃうけど、休みずのご飯食べさせてくれない
See,
のは
finally.
何の伏線なの？
Finally, he's asking. Hang on, I'm gonna move. That beanbag chair is bugging me right now. Oh, alright. It's not being very comfy. I just gotta stretch. Okay.
気づいた？
うん。もう怪しい伏線はとっとと潰しておこうと思って。怖いから。
参ったな、もう。まあこれはただの保険というか心の薬というか。
少し詳しく。
なんかあるじゃん、そこのご飯を食べちゃったから豚にされて逃げられないみたいなさ。
ここは地獄か何か？
I'd seen that anime on DVD, by the way. Which way to the bathhouse?
地獄でないとは断言できないかな。
It seemed like some serious overthinking to me. If not just serious superstition. There's gotta be more to it than what she's
ち
saying.
なみにその体勢はまだ続くの？
一応食料はそれなりに持ち込んであるからまだ大丈夫。
Cup ramen, huh? I did appreciate it, but I had mixed feelings on living like it was the apocalypse over a local superstition. Yeah, there's gotta be more to that. Anyway, we went to Chimi's room and she gave me some cup ramen. We agreed I'd pay for it after this was all over. I actually skipped 2 meals, so I was still hungry, but I was used to skipping meals to cut costs, so that wasn't a problem. I wanted to relax and think things over, but Chimi was curious about the others, and I ended up tagging along. It was probably because I wasn't in a position to be by myself.
あら、いらっしゃい。お昼？
No.
いいえ、時間を持て余してしまって座ってていいです？
もちろん。お茶をお出しするわ。
Let me guess, I can't drink the tea.
すみません。僕はお湯いただけますか？
あら、お茶は体にいいのに。
She really wants me to drink the tea. I do too.
お茶を飲むと眠れなくなる体質なんですよね。
あら、それは仕方ないわね。
おさゆも断ってほしかったな。
そうは言うけども、カップ麺作るときにここの水は使ってるわけじゃん。
あ、
気づいてなかったのか。
沸かしたからセーフかな。
Could Hell's water really be purified by boiling?
はい、どうぞ。でも本当に災難だったわね。バイ。
いえ、皆さんに比べればそんな。ちなみにこんなこと毎年のようにあるんですか？
I asked something important, like it was no big deal.
そんなにはなかったはずよ。私は少なくとも宴は今回が初めて。昔霧が出た時に亡くなった人がいるっていうのは聞いてるけど、
Yeah, you were
多く
living
の人が休みずにいなかったから。
you were living in the other village. As in, they hadn't been ostracized back then? I could ask that, but I probably couldn't dig too deep.
じゃあ、多くの人にとってこれが初めてのことってわけですか？
そうだと思うわ。
そうか。それにしては随分とやり方が正確に伝わってるんですね。
ここはこんなところでしょ。娯楽も何もないから、小さい子たちはお年寄りのお話を聞いて育つの。古いお話や古い歌はずっと伝わって残ってるみたいよ。
歌？
歌
Whoa. Mysterious Mako-chan popped out of nowhere.
覚えた
How does she know this song
あ
already?
ら、すごい。歌って歌って。
信内さんのお守りは赤だし増やして手がらしとくよ
Oh, it's supposed to be 1 snake, 2 monkey, 3 wolf, probably 4 spider. Right. Or crow, sorry, and spider. Cake, funky, blow, and rider. Yeah, snake, monkey, crow, and spider. So was it about a guy who had a funky birthday party with cake and ended the night on a happy note? The melody seemed familiar though.
ちょっと難しかったかな。
メイコ、ここにいたの？
Her guardian came soon after.
あら、まあ、すみません。お昼の後で、いろいろ見苦しいところを。
Kaori Obe-san humbled herself. Why?
こちらこそ、メイコがお邪魔をしまして。いえいえ、こんな時ですから、少しでも気が楽になるように、好きなようにくつろいでください。では。
A silent thud. And a loud one. The woman just collapsed.
大丈夫リカ子さん。
あらまあ、怪我はない？
Apparently she wasn't trying some unique form of relaxation. She just tripped on the rail for the door. She put her hands on her throbbed nose and became teary-eyed. The lady's mysterious vibe crumbled in an instant. The woman noticed my surprise and pouted. She might have been more expressive than I realized.
あまり見ない。
あ、すみません。考えてみたら、ちゃんとお話しするの初めてですよね。
I want to see something. You know how it gave me the 2 choices? Did that... Oh. Maybe that doesn't lead to different things.
そうかもしれません。
どうして謝りますか？
巻き込んでしまって。逃げて。
そういえば、逃げろって言ってくれましたね。
夕霧が上がってくるのが見えていたから。
Mm-hmm.
ああ、そういうことだったんですか。僕はてっきり予言でもされたのかと。
植松は見張りの家ではありませんから。
Now that sounded significant.
見張りの家とは？
あまり外の方には。
Isn't the Lookout family. Crap, Chimi's lack of reserve made me forget my boundaries here.
あと、すみません。変わった服を着てらしたので、何か神職の方なのかなと。
それは、まあ、そんなに偉いものでは。
春秋さん、リカ子さんあんまり困らせちゃダメだよ。
ああ、うん。そのつもりはなかったんだ。申し訳ないです、リカ子さん。
いきなり下の名前で。
ああ、すみません。
Chimi called her that way, so I thought it was okay. Man, this was confusing.
別にいいですけど。
いやー、すみません。
何？なんかいい雰囲気？
Ah, wink, wink, wink. I'd have appreciated it if she didn't put me in a weird situation.
帰ります。メイコは
もうちょっといる。
そう。夕方前には戻ってね。
And so she left.
ちょっぴり不思議ちゃん入ってるけど、可愛い人だよね。
そうだね。
可愛い人だよね。
Chimi, you jealous?
そうかな。
どっち？
Not as cute as you, Chimi. Don't worry.
こっちのセリフですが。
美人はいいな。いくつになっても年齢不詳の美人のまま。
Well, that was some bait.
あえて食いつくけど、彼女っていくつなの？
よくわかんない。まあ30過ぎってことはないと思うけど、間違いなく私よりはお姉さんだよ。
十分意外なんだけど。
だよね。ちっちゃいし童顔だし。
ちなみに彼女って。
That's what I get told. I get told all the time I look really young. It's just good. I mean, I don't mind. But people think I'm like way young. Like,
こんにちは。
We were now joined by the student.
母さん、今いい？
あら、安永。はるちゃんもいらっしゃい。
ちょっと、あなた。
はい、あなたのあなたです。
Ah, I'm you at your service.
ふざけてるの？
She's acting weird. I mean, she wasn't exactly a fan of me to begin with, but she's been acting a little even more strange. I was, actually.
なんだろう、牧島さん。
今、はるちゃんって呼びそうになったでしょ。ほとんど初対面なのに非常識じゃない？
落ち着くんだ。ヒステリー系ヒロインは人気が出ないぞ。
つくづくふざけてる。あなたにね、言いたいことがあってきたの。
Her behavior was pretty unreasonable too, to be honest. But instead of pointing it out, I just corrected my posture and waited to hear what she had to say.
あなたね、CNA にくっつきすぎ。CNA だって忙しいんだから、あなたはあなたで何かしたらどうなの？
Why is that your business?
そうだったのか。
いや別にそうでも。よしんば CNA が暇だったとしても、女性にはいろいろあるんだから、遠慮して適度に距離を取るのが大人でしょ？
それは確かにそうかもしんない。
認めるんだったらとっととどっか行きなさいよ。これだから大人ってずるくて汚くて鬱陶しいんだ。
Man, she has such a bad attitude. What's your
そうです。
problem?
私が汚いおじさんです。
I'm a filthy old man.
はるちゃん、そんなこと言うためについてきたの？あ、母さん、匠兄から伝言で。
何かしら？
しばらくは夜早いだろうからお弁当にした方がいいんじゃないかって。
あら、それはそうだわ。急いでお米炊かなきゃ。
あと、久石さん、あなたにこれを。ボンよよよよ。
Boom, boom.
僕？
I was busy deflecting Haru-chan's attacks with my stupidity barrier, so being dragged into the conversation surprised me a bit. He gave me a rather dirty, rusty, cheap-looking cylindrical key. It wasn't even attached to a keychain.
学生寮の鍵です。匠兄がタイバーに行って出してもらったんだって。
どうしてそんな？
今朝は外に寝させて悪かったって伝えてほしいそうです。
Well, that's good at least, but it
律
feels
儀でよく気がつく人だな。
like it could be a trap too.
そうでしょ。
Again.
あの人がいるからこんなところでもなんとかしていけるわ。
母さん、やっぱり。
あ、お米お米。
She likes him. With an awkward smile on her face, Kaori-san went back to the kitchen.
すみません、お恥ずかしいところを。
まあ、よそ者には何が何だかわからないので問題ないよ。
I made a blatant lie. Everyone could tell that Kaori-san and Takumi-san would make a nice couple. Yeah, so they need to get on that.
いえ、はるちゃんもです。はるちゃん、よその人には絡んじゃダメだよ。
何よ、兄ちゃんだって迷惑でしょ。
別に。
とにかくあなた、宴が関係ないなら早く出ていけば。
はるちゃんやめろって。
Yeah,
なん
really.
でよ。
負債師さんは被害者なんだ。そんな薄情なことを言うもんじゃない。
何よ、兄ちゃんのバカ。
ああ、もう何が何だか。
Maybe she likes Chimi. She's jealous. They had to stop fighting about me. We had an innocent little girl here. Also, Chimi's info was confirmed to be true. Trying to escape seemed dangerous, and recommending it was heartless. Basically, getting out of here was difficult. That made me all the more grateful for the room. I'd been so busy trying to understand what was going on in this place that I hadn't even considered how to deal with myself. I'd have to thank
まあまあ
Takumi-san.
二人とも落ち着いて。はるちゃん、知恵姉と遊ぼうのコーナー。
遊ぶって何を。
信頼モーデ。
It's a game, or they just...
今なんでまた。
めいこちゃんに正しいやつを見せようかなって。
ね
いいけど、知恵ねってそういうの結構こだわるよね。
Are they gonna show me too?
まあね。
Something was about to begin. No longer the center of attention, I began drinking the hot water Kaori-san placed before me. The teacup has strange symbol enameled at the bottom. It looked like a family crest.
安永くん、この文様って何かな？
ああ、金
That's
藤
one of
吉
the
長者の家紋ですよ。そんな食器捨ててしまえばいいのに。
Must mean something. His harsh tone made it pretty likely that it was the crest of the Higuchi family, the ones who banished them here. Haru-chan moved a chair and sat down in front of Chimi.
私が男役でいい？
いいよ。
じゃあ行くよ。1、2、せーの。信頼さんのお守りは日がちふましらみがらすよぐも。
They started playing an action rhythm, much like Ring Around the Rosie or London Bridge is Falling Down. Fully in sync, they clapped, slapped their knees, clapped again, joined hands, etc., all according to the rhythm. And there was no mistaking it. This was actually the song I'd heard yesterday morning.
夕霧立てば宴の支度いついつ無事なもなれもて走る。
They were doing it pretty quickly, so I couldn't see everything, but it was definitely complex. They even raised fingers and made fist bumps. Also, I was pretty sure I'd heard that part somewhere.
夕霧立てば
So
宴の支度
I wonder if the badger and if that's important too, because it's part of the song. Oh.
あやしよみびとけがらえり
Suddenly, the song changed in tone. The movement switched up too. Haru-chan hid her face while Chimi stood up a bit and grabbed her by the shoulders.
あやしおみびとなきにせん
Similar line, but the roles switched.
すぐれやひとひにひとりきりだった
They returned to the same tone and movements as before, but then, at a slightly awkward point, the song suddenly ended. Then they quickly stood up and... maybe there's more to the song? That one's either been forgotten or purposely left
久し
out.
ぶりすぎて焦った
Apparently they were done.
どうさめいこちゃんもともとはこういう遊びなんだよ
すごい早くてよくわかんなかった
よーしはるちゃんめいこちゃんに教えてあげるんだ
え私が
教えて
まあいいけど
やすくんちょっと話したいことある
Chimi's tone was serious.
何かな
Yasunega-kun instantly understood that it was important, but he seemed to be mindful of
も
me.
し宴のことだったら僕がいない方がいいかな。
すみません。
Chimi gave me a meaningful look as I left. She'd probably tell me something the next time we
ちょっと出
met.
てきますね。
はーい。お構いできずにごめんなさい。
Kaori-san stuck her head out and said goodbye to me as I left the dining hall. I put together what I'd learned. The settlement's beliefs, circumstances, and the inhabitants' stances. However, Chimi was really the only one I could go to directly to get info from. I couldn't account for any biases she might have had. The other inhabitants, albeit to varying degrees, didn't trust me. I could probably have decent talks with Yasunagu-kun, but his situation seemed to be similar to Chimi's. I'd have liked to get info from the elders. Maybe my best option was to somehow join the feast myself. From what Chimi had told me, the feast was a really vile and dangerous tradition. And that didn't change even when you considered the tales and that there had already been lynchings because of this. Normally something so brutal would have changed and become some harmless festival by now. How did such a tradition survive in the modern day, despite murder and lynchings being completely illegal? Was this place simply beyond the reach of the law or something? Or...
神様を見たことがあるからかな
or because you'd actually get cursed if you didn't do what the tales told you to. How stupid. Then again, I couldn't really write it off. My stance on gods and monsters was basically that. As long as they could be seen, I was willing to accept their existence. The belief that nothing was beyond the comprehension of modern science was narrow-minded at best. New technologies and methods could easily reveal things that were previously undetectable. This had happened many times throughout human history. The idea that there were strange animals, ghosts, or aliens that were simply beyond our current ability to perceive was entirely plausible. However, there were disappointing realities too. For example, the original story about something mysterious could have easily been a lie, trick, misunderstanding, or misinformation. Generally speaking, the mysteries of the world all turned out to be one of those. Science disproved things far more often than it confirmed them, which was pretty damn boring. Surely, even Houdini, famous for exposing mediums and other frauds, wanted to believe in psychic phenomenon. He'd searched the world in hopes of meeting a real medium. but each he found proved to be fake in the end. Well, considering I'd actually seen something that shouldn't have existed, you could say, that I was in a way more exciting situation than him. Though my life was in danger, so I couldn't really waste time trying to speculate what that thing was. Back to the matter at hand. For now, the most important thing was understanding and surviving the feast. To pull that off, I needed more info. I still hadn't heard how today's talk had ended. Based on the mood of the place, no one seemed to have died at least.
死んだよ。
Shocked, I turned around. Who was this? It was a girl I'd never seen before.
死んだよ。死んだ。死んだとも。
Why is he acting so
き
weird?
っと君も死ぬ。藤吉村にようこそ。気の毒なお兄さん。
The girl turned and ran, her skirt swaying behind her. That's the young boy, right? But why is he talking to me like he doesn't know who I am? He's met me.
待て、モッチ。
Mochi, yeah.
なぜわかった、うんこマン。
You mean, how did I know?
誰がうんこマンだ。いや、確かに見た目は結構びっくりしたが、喋り方と声はもうちょっと工夫した方がいいな。
いや、別に変装のつもりじゃないし。
え、普段着だとでも？
おう、僕は超貧乏だからずっと学生服を着てたらタエバーが文句タラタラ言ってきてね。だからハルちゃんにお下がりをもらったのさ。可愛かろう。
まあ確かに可愛いが、一応性別は男なんだよね、君は。
If I didn't already, I'd have assumed he was a girl.
ちゃんとついているぞ。ツレションの時に確認すればいい。
What? Why would he say that? Oh my goodness. I didn't want to see it at all.
自分の性別に違和感があったりするの？
なんだそれ。僕は男だ。
じゃあなんでそんなことを？
別になんでなんてない。僕は
そういう
卑怯の振る舞いというやつ。頭がおかしいので普通の人とはうまくやっていけないのだ。でも好きなようにやらないのはそれはそれできっついから多少は変にするわけだ。
つまり自然体というわけ？
そう。寒くなければすっぱだかでも悪くないな。
So basically, this was a guy with a unique sense of, well, everything. Unless he found something that really clicked, he'd have a hard time living anywhere, even in the city.
そりゃ苦労もあったろうね。
いやー、休みずはだいたい住みやすいぜ。うんこマンも住むといい。
なんでそんな話になるかな。
都会は住みにくかろう？
いや、断然便利だしな。
そうか。てっきり嫌なことがあって飛び出してきたのかと思った。
Yeah, but not like this type of bad.
まあそれは否定しないけどさ。
うんこマンも頭おかしい人でしょ？
全力で否定するけど。
あれ、おかしいな。同類だと思ったのに。
Well, we can't be.
ねえ、じっちゃん。
Whoa! There was a weird old guy in the bushes.
僕はうんこマンが変態だと思う。だよね、うんこマンは。
うんこ。
But he wasn't acting like odd when I've met him the other times. So why all of a sudden is he, like, just...
お願いだから、その故障を広めないでくれ。久石でも春秋でも何でもいいから。
ハッサン？
はあ、さん。
Did I look like a Middle Easterner? I was mildly bothered by the accentuation too, but he was probably avoiding using nicknames that were similar to Hagaru-chan's name.
まあ、いいか、それで。
うんこマンはハッサンになった。
I was never Poop Man to begin with.
おじいさんとは親しいの？
頭おかしい友達だ。
Why is he calling himself crazy all of a sudden? That's bothering me. Cause he wasn't before, and I don't know. Well, the old man seemed to be enjoying it.
ハッサンも仲間になろう。霧が晴れたら上富士吉に鶏盗みに行こう。
That's probably not a good idea. What are you, Kappas? How? Why did he like me that much? Well, that might have been a good thing. He seemed to be a bit more unique than the other two students.
ちなみに、今日はなんで他の高校生たちと一緒じゃないの？
だって、はるちゃん怒ってたし、楽しくないことになりそうな気配が全開だったもん。
彼女は何を怒ってたの？
はるちゃんはさ、やっすんのことが好きだからさ。
Oh?
ちえ姉が帰ってきて、やっすんが嬉しそうなのが気に入らないのだよ。
Ah. Oh, I knew she was jealous about something.
やっすんがちえ姉のこと好きなのを、はるちゃんは一応応援しちゃってるし。
But why if she likes Yasan? Well, I sure didn't expect to hear something like that.
片思いしてる相手の恋を手助けしてしまってるってことか。
そうそう。だからハッサンがちえ姉と突如ベタベタしだしたんで、わけわかんなくなってんだよ。
But it doesn't, cause then maybe she'll get him. So basically, I accidentally entered a love triangle.
ちなみにちえみちゃんはそういうの気づいてるのかな？
そりゃそうじゃない？でも相手にしてないし、脈はないね。
Man, this kid was harsh.
つうわけで、よかったな。ちえ姉はハッサンのものだ。
いやー、どうかな。っていうか、君はそれでいいのかい？
なんで聞くかな。
いや、短期間の観察ではあるけど、君は奔放なくせにはるちゃんに対してはどこか海外しい感じがして。
まあ多分そんなんじゃないな。幼なじみとして危なっかしいから心配してるだけさ。
意外だな、モッチー。そういうやつをからかいまくるキャラかと思った。
No, I hit the wrong button. That's fine, I can do this.
ハッサンだったら死ぬほどおちょくるけど。
Well, thanks.
やっすんには借りがいっぱいあるし、はるちゃんはかわいそうな子だからな。
なんかいっぺんにいろいろ聞くのもあれだし、それはいずれ。
No, I wanna know now.
は、すでに喋りすぎた。何の魔術だ？ハッサンめ。
The best kind of magic. There we go. He was the one who'd gone blabbing on his own.
ところで、さっき死んだって言ってたけど、誰か死んだの？いや、 記者さんは亡くなったけど。
安水人はまだ死んでないけど、死んだも同然だろ
う。なんでそう思ったの？
さあ、なんでとかは僕には分からんけど、なんかね、匠兄がヘビだって言った時嫌な感じがしたんだ。
Uh-oh.
ああ、今狼様が笑ったなーって。
So maybe he is a wolf and he was lying about being the snake.
待て、今なんて言った？
狼様が笑ったなって。
その前だ。
匠兄がヘビだって言った時？
匠さんがヘビなのか？
そう言ってた。
ちょっと休養ができた。またな、モッチ、おじいさん。
狼
が来るだ。
知ってたのか？
はあ？
Shit, I didn't have the time nor the connections.
ムロさん。
あ、なんだ。
That was my line. Why was he farming at a time like this?
鍵、ありがとうございます。
Because they need to?
ああ、それはいいけど、あんま一人でうろつくなよ。ただでさえみんなピリピリしてんだから。
そのことですが、ムロさんは狼が一晩に何人殺すか知ってますか？
ちえみのやつ、そんなことまで喋ったのかよ。
僕が無理に聞き出したんです。というか、話が伝わることはあなたも予想した上でちえみちゃんに任せたはずだ。それでも情報は断片的ですが、ちょっと心配があるんです。すみませんが、教えてもらえませんか？
実のところな、俺はバカらしいんだよ。こんなことで他の世話は邪魔されんのがよ。ちえみやあんたにはわかるかと思ったが、結局あんたもマジになってんのか
Well, he really didn't seem all that bothered by this, but my throat. Sorry.
二人死んでいる。
I need water. 2 people already died.
何が珍しいんだ？
は？
あのな、人間なんざいくらでも死んでるし、俺はいくらでも片付けてる。
What was he talking about?
上の土砂崩れの現場見たか？ありゃ8年前に野里が手入れたら崩れてそのまんまになってる。気味悪がって片付けもしやがらねえ。作業員の死体は俺が掘り出して埋めた。
I had no idea that was such a big deal.
バカな町の奴らが山ん中で首つって獣に食われることもある。俺やおやっさんが苦労して片付ける羽目になる。皿長に死体が流れることも珍しくねえ。渓流釣りだかなんだか知らねえが、上流は危ねえっつうのによ。それでもな、誰も何もしてくれねえ。俺らとしちゃな、無縁仏で埋めてそれで終わりにしてきたこった。山っつうのは獣が出ようがムクロが出ようが何でもありなんだよ、兄ちゃん。
でも今回は村の中で。
ああ、なんだろうな、月の輪が人を食うなんざ聞かねえし、もしかして本物の狼でも群れで来たかもな。
So does he not believe the legend?
あれが野獣の仕業だと？
人間の仕業だっつうのもどうなんだ。要は夜に番を立てりゃいい話だろうが、なぜバカみてえに殺し合う必要がある。
This person was hard to read. There is no denying he had a good head on his shoulders. He was reasonable and skeptical about the unknown. On the other hand, there were some things he put even above rationality. Felt like something you could call Yasumizu's rules, or better yet, fellowship. He looked at the situation from the perspective of, I gotta protect Yasumizu. He did whatever he could within those constraints, but he was in denial about the existence of enemies originating from within Yasumizu. Well, I could see that. To him, this situation was just the common cause of some outsiders died, so what? Or maybe that was what he really wanted to think. That made the situation very bad. But I, being an outsider, couldn't say that.
そうですよね。おっしゃる通り、そんな迷信に耳を貸す方がどうかしてます。
He looked displeased. What was I supposed to do?
ただ、ちょっと気になるんです。伝説で今夜一晩で皆殺しになるとかなってるなら、心の持ちようが違う。
ああ、それはねえな。狼が殺すってのは
But they
一晩
killed
に一人だけのはずだ。
they killed two though, that's what I don't get, so it's gotta be one per wolf. I don't understand that.
そうなんですか？伝説上、それはなぜだってことになってるんでしょう。
ばあちゃんなんつってたかな。誰も山の掟には逆らえん。よもつ狼様であってもだったか。
よもつ狼？
よみがえった狼って意味だと。
Huh? Weird. I felt like I'd heard that term before. Still, wasn't it weird that the laws applied to the wolves too? They were on the Yombito side, as in those opposing the mountain. And I was pretty sure the law of the mountain said that only one person could be killed per day. Lynching one during the day was the limit, and killing more than one per night was against the rules. Both would make you the target of the corruption. It didn't make much sense to me, but at least I found out that the wolves, too, could only kill one person per
変な
night.
こと聞いてすみませんでした。おとなしく引っ込んでおきます。あ、男手がいるときは言ってください。勝手に手は出さないでおきますが、ここに居候してる分、働きたいんです。
ああ、そうだな。
His last reply was half-hearted, but at least I got a bit of the rules I was missing. When I came back to the dining hall, I found the students Chimi and Yoshitsugura-kun, Yasunaga's little brother. Miko had left.
うんこマンじゃない、ハッサン。うんこマン？
何それ？
The name still got a chance to spread. That aside, I had to find out what happened at today's feast. Recalling what Mochi told me made this kind of
悪いけ
hard.
ど、ちょっとちえみちゃん借りていい？
わお、ちえみさん大人気。
だからあなたは懲りないわね。
はるちゃん、いいから僕らは母さんを手伝おう。
兄ちゃんも何か言ってよ。
多分難しい話なんだよ。
僕は皿を叩き割る係。
はるちゃん、近持くんを押さえつける係。
え？何よこれ。
ごめんね、なんかバタバタして。
安永くんと何を話してた？
さっきの宴でね、ちょっとまずいよねって。
Yeah, I figured it was something like that.
匠さんがヘビって名乗ったと近持くんから聞いたんだけど。
うん、そうなんだよね。
他にヘビは？
他？いや、ヘビは一人だし。
The mountain gave 4 kinds of guardians. The snake could ask the mountain whether one of the participants was a wolf or not. The monkey was the only one, of which there were 2. They had the power to know who the other monkey was. The crow could determine whether the person who was lynched the previous day was a wolf or not. And the spider could ask God to protect one of the other participants from the wolf's attacks. Honestly, if this so-called god really had that power, I'd complain to him that he should protect everyone. As far as I knew, anyone who didn't have a guardian was either a powerless human or a wolf. The humans could kill a person during the day, while the wolves could kill a person during the night. It was a battle for survival. The humans had to do everything to find and kill the wolves. If they couldn't find a single wolf during the feast, the whole event was completely meaningless. The wolves would simply crush the settlement.
殺人の是非を一旦脇に置くならば、今日狼容疑者を選べなかったことは単純に一日ロスだよね。
It's not a day wasted. You want us just to kill somebody without reason?
そうだね。そのこともさっきヤス君と話してた。
そして実質ヘビの正体が確定してしまった。
うん。ちょっと嫌な状況だね。
She understood it well. They couldn't expect the help of the police or getting a forensic investigation, not to mention we were up against supernatural monsters. As things were, the snake's power was the only way to find out who was a wolf or not. In other words, losing the snake would mean losing their most powerful weapon against the wolves.
でも、多分今日は大丈夫なんだ。クモは匠兄ちゃんを守るようにってことになったから。
待って、クモもバレたのか？
うん。ヤス君がこの場で明かせば狼にも聞かれるから秘密にしておこうって。
Sharp.
それで肝臓じいちゃんが OK 出して方針が決まったんだ。
正しそうだね。
と思う。ヘビについてもそういう風にできればよかったのかな。
They really should have. It is best to secretly gather info without revealing their guardians, especially for the snake. He should have kept quiet and used his power to find out as much as reasonably possible before revealing himself. I knew it was difficult to figure out right away, but the fact that the snake, the most important role, was the first to be outed was really bad. From my perspective, Takumi-san had been so focused on protecting Yasumizu himself that he'd made a terrible mistake. Or he's lying. He appeared calm, but I wouldn't have been surprised if he'd realized this and was actually pretty shaken.
どうなると思う？
She asked like she already knew the answer.
クモは言われるがままに匠さんを守る。当然、狼もそれを聞いているんだから。匠さんを殺そうとすれば、クモが阻むんだろう。どうやるのかは知らないが。
だね。結果、1日分の殺人権をロスする。
So they'll just go for someone else. Chimi seemed to process this as a logic game too.
僕が狼なら、匠さんは無視して別の誰かを殺す。
春明さんもそう思うか。ちなみに狙われるとしたら誰かな？
それはわからない。狼側の選択傾向がわからないからね。奴らが女子供の血をすすりたいとかなら狙われるのは若い子たちだろうし。
怖い。
大丈夫。ちえみちゃんより若い子がいるから。
殺す。
大丈夫。美人狙いだったら一頭。
Nice recovery.
許す。でもそれはそれでやだな。殺される前に何されるかわかんないし。
I'm sure there are plenty of things they could conceive. Apparently there was another layer to the worst possible scenario.
趣味以外の方向で言えば、そうだな。殺すことで村人側が大きく動揺するような人物。
Someone in charge, someone powerful.
集落の有力者、あるいは今後のゲーム展開を左右するような優秀なプレイヤー。
Yeah.
肝臓じいちゃん、あるいはヤス君。
That seemed likely. Yasunaga-kun was the only one who'd done something helpful for the villagers this time. He seemed to be the leader of the high schoolers and had a good head on his shoulders. But his ideas required Kanzu Mishima's approval, which made it pretty clear he was a standout. Honestly, I'd expected him to take more initiative than he had, but the fact he considered the younger people's opinions showed real leadership skills. In any case, he wasn't someone the humans wanted to lose. Oh yeah.
匠さんが誰を調べるかは決めたの？
うん、清之助さん。
何そのチョイス？
何って本人の希望で。あと、人間関係的に不利な人から優先的に調べて安全性を上げようっていう。
I wasn't so sure about that choice, yeah. Those who were confirmed as non-wolves would have much more freedom to act. At the very least, they wouldn't be suspected as wolves who were just trying to exploit the situation during the feast. That being the case, shouldn't they have opted to choose a potential leader to investigate? Well, I didn't really know if Kiyono knew Natsushi had the skills, but from what I could tell, he definitely lacked the influence to lead. If they want to secure a reliable leader, they should have went for someone like Kanzu Mashima. Oh, I can't talk anymore. But wait.
もし蛇の対象がその夜に狼にやられてしまうなら、蛇が無駄になるか。死んだ人はカラスが調べればいいことだから。
違うよ。夜に殺されるのは狼が選ぶんだから、間違いなく人間だよ。カラスはあくまで昼に宴で選ばれて殺された人の正体を知れるだけ。
So the crow can't check the ones at night. Interesting.
そうか。確かに。
Whatever the case, perhaps investigating Kiyonosuke wasn't that much of a mistake. Did that mean that they were actually doing a decent job? Well, it'd be pretty bad if Kanzushi was the one to go. Chimi looked gloomy. She and I probably felt that it wasn't a complete blunder, but still had a bad feeling about it. During the feast, everyone had to lock themselves somewhere all alone around every sunset. It was called sheltering. Well, I could understand it, considering the legends, but I still wondered why the students didn't go to school. It was a weekday. When I'd asked, they just told me, why would we leave when it's so dangerous? The idea that they couldn't leave when the mist was here was so popular it affected their daily lives. Also, the people at Kafumi Ryoshi had to know that Yasumizu was covered in mist, right? Considering the school there probably had a few students to begin with, the non-presence of the three from Yasumizu would normally be a serious problem. I knew it was a settlement for the ostracized, but did they really neglect this place that badly? Looking at it from that angle, it was safe to assume that the local villages, I'm just gonna call it Kami, included actually concealed the feast of the Yami Purge. I thought about that and similar things in room 203 of the student dorm, the place I was given. Chimi had given me some cup ramen and hot water. We chatted for a moment about being neighbors for a while, and then she returned to her room. Weird we could be so casual about this, considering there was a chance we wouldn't meet again tomorrow. After dinner, I took a bath. The glass boiler was pretty damn old, so learning how to use it took a while. There were some working electrical outlets too, so I could charge my phone. I didn't have a wristwatch, so that was important. By the way, my room didn't have a kitchen. I was pretty sure the other rooms didn't either. From what I could tell, no one here actually cooked or ate at their own homes. They all relied on the dining hall to provide their meals. The settlement had not only a unique culture, but a way of life as well. I couldn't help but wonder how something like this began and survived into the modern era. It was an interesting subject to research, but for now, I had to worry about the fact that my life was in danger. Anyway, what were my options now? I wasn't part of the feast, but walking around at night was probably dangerous regardless. Yeah, probably. After all, I had memories of getting killed doing exactly that. From a logical standpoint, I was probably just a dream, but it had a quality to it that made it hard to believe it was. I had to be careful until I was certain. Then again, I had a record of surviving by just not making any noise at night. Maybe I should have stayed awake and looked around. Also, Takumi-san had said they were gonna have someone keep watch at night, didn't he? Was he gonna do it himself? Considering the snake's importance, he shouldn't do something so dangerous. Shit. They'd barely decided anything in the feast. I wasn't getting enough info either. I felt like I barely knew the basics. Talking during the feast meant giving info to the wolves, but if the humans kept too many things hidden, the wolves would end up knowing way more than them, and that was just dangerous. Still, there was a limit to what I could do in my situation. If I kept being the messenger I was today, I could create a huge imbalance of info myself. Not to mention, I could be deemed suspicious and lose the residents' trust. Shit, what was I supposed to do here? Was it best for me to just stay quiet and wait for the feast to end? That wasn't like me at all. There was a mail slot on the door. I opened it up and looked inside. Everything was still covered in mist, so I couldn't see much. I could only see the handrail and the branches going in the hallway. Maybe I could see some intruder if I kept staring. Not likely. After all, this was the room at the end of the second floor. Haru-chan's and Chimi's rooms were closer to the stairs, so I couldn't see anyone going to attack them. The only time I could see the monster come would be when it was coming for me. Maybe keeping watch like this was the most important thing if I wanted to stay alive, but I found it hard to put my own life on the priority list. For some reason, I felt like if I died, I'd just go back to the starting point. Yeah, better not think about that. Anyway, I had to stay awake. I still had many things to worry and think about. What's happening? Oh. 5:14, Wednesday. What? As I woke up and tried to move, my head rubbed against something tough, and then smacked into the doorknob. I writhed in pain. What was going on? Did I fall asleep against the door? Was I more tired than I thought? I was glad I didn't die and all, but this was a failure in my eyes. Sleeping in an unnatural position made my whole body hurt. I wobbled over to my fully charged phone. It was 6 o'clock. That was early morning for me. I'd have loved to just go back to sleep, but I was too curious about the feast. After washing my face with hot water and putting on my shoes, I decided to take a peek through the mail slot. Oh. Outside, I saw Chimi standing there with a knife in hand. I reflexively stepped back, tripped, and fell on my ass. What the hell was that? There was a woman standing before my room with a weapon. I'd only caught a glimpse, but that was enough to conclude that I was dealing with a scene straight out of a horror movie. What could have prompted this? Did she suspect I was a wolf? Or was she a wolf herself? She knocked on the door, making me squeal a bit.
Haruaki-san? Haruaki-san? 起きてる?
No. Would she kill me if I replied?
ハルアキさん起きて。他のみんなの様子を見て回るから付き合ってほしいんだ。ちなみに私は現在凶器を所持してますが、ご信用につき心配なきよう。
But if it's morning, the wolves shouldn't be out anymore, so why would I need... Oh no, that's really suspicious.
大丈夫大丈夫。ほら、凶器はちょっと離れたところに置きました。
I hesitantly peeked through the mail slot and saw her hopping around, showing me her empty hands. After meeting up with Chimi, we went around the dorm and woke up the students. All of them were alright. While I got ready, we went to the Natsu mansion, just 'cause it was close. Yasumizu was still misty and unpleasantly silent. I walked carefully, just like yesterday morning. I couldn't write off the possibility that a werewolf would jump out of the mist and tear me apart. It'd be over for me. I was walking ahead, dragging Chimi by the hand, careful about where I was going. If something happened and I got eaten or something, Chimi could either fight back or run away.
誰かいるのか。あ、野里さん、夫妻子とちえみちゃんです。どこだ。そこか。
We peered through the mist and a gloomy frown appeared.
いやー、どうも。
屋敷は大丈夫だったみたいですね。
当然だろう。屋敷には古臭いながらもセキュリティ設備が設けられている。
I bet you they
化け物だろうが侵
could.
入できるとは思えんね。
そっか。じゃあみんなで避難させてもらえます？
なぜそんなことをせねばならんのかね。これは安水の問題だろう。
そっか、そうですよね。じゃあ安水の問題解決のためとっとと下に降りてます。
待ちたまえ。急ぎ動かないと危険だろう。
Really? I was beginning to think this guy was best described as all bark, no bite. Though prideful and vain, he wasn't as smart as he claimed to be, as shown by his inability to take charge of the feast. Also, his fussy attitude was probably just him making up for his fear. It was entirely possible he was just putting on an air, and that the mystery of Yasumizu, or rather, Fujiyoshi, was actually scaring him. Anyway, we went downhill and met up with the students.
慣れた道でも不気味なもんだね。
だね。霧って不思議だ。
これなら脱いでも怒られない。
やめろ、バカ者。
Haru Nishikiyama was acting weird. Mochi was definitely expecting a retort from her. She didn't say anything, and her face was so pale you could tell through the mist. Hanging her head, she was lightly shaking. Everyone else could see it too, but no one chose to address it. Why? Questions would quickly become suspicions, after all. Perhaps she was a wolf and did something horrific last night? As we all thought similar things, she suddenly collapsed to the ground.
大丈夫か、はるちゃん。
触らないで。
Her hoarse scream shocked everyone.
はるちゃん。
みーちゃん、違う。ごめん。だけど、今は、ね。
うん、そうだよね。神経質にもなるよ。足元に気をつけて。
We then slowed down. Haru-chan, not touching anyone's hands, was at the rear of the group. As we walked, trees and stones drifted in and out of visibility through the surrounding mist. Our vision was so limited, it felt like the world around us was changing with every step we took. A tunnel of trees, a path on the paddy field, a stone platform, a concrete stairway. We walked between realms every passing second. I was still wondering about Haru-chan. What was on her mind? Was she afraid or wary? After descending for a bit, we arrived at the plaza.
みんな無事ね。
We met two more people in front of the dining hall.
ご老人方は朝寝坊かね。
ばあちゃんは身支度中だ。体調が良くねえらしい。
Uh-oh.
これから来てねえ連中のところを回る。キヨ、
なぜ君が私に命令する？
男手がいるかもしれねえからだ。夫妻子、悪いがあんたも頼むぜ。
This was the first time he'd ordered me to do something, but it wasn't a situation where I could be happy about him relying on me.
もちろん。
He probably had a bad feeling, namely that he wouldn't be able to rely on a certain someone ever again. As I passed by Kiori-san, I heard her whisper.
あのね、安永、ちょっといい？
何？母さん。
義継を探してほしいの。離れにいないようだから。
His brother? Everyone probably had a bad feeling about this. The three of us guys checked the houses. Yasunaga-kun, Chimi, and Mochi walked around the settlement. We'd agreed to split up and start searching. The misty village was silent. I couldn't hear anyone chatting. I'd seen these buildings from the outside, but it was my first time actually walking in. The shabby buildings, built using blackened planks, were more or less buried in the vegetation. Some were on the verge of collapse. The way their frames jutted from the mist reminded me of the carcasses of giant beasts. I walked on a line between the grass, a footpath surely. I often heard something small jump in the grass. It was probably just some bugs or frogs, but it still made me flinch.
Rikako-san はここに住んでいるのだったか。
ああ、そこんちだ。
くそ、なんだって彼女がこんな場所に住まねばならん。
お前が知らねえんだったら俺らが知るわけねえだろうが。身車あたりの指図じゃねえのか。
私が知る限りでは、彼女が休みずに移ったのは自主的とのことだがね。第一必要がない。
ひょっとしたら霧が立つんで魔除けのまじないでもしに来たんじゃねえか。無駄だったがよ。
室匠、私ならともかく彼女相手にあんまり口が過ぎるんじゃないかね。相手は上藤吉の長者の正統だぞ。
That must be the girl in the robes, I think.
知るか、ここは安水だ。あいつ自分で言ってたろうが、宴になりゃみんな食われんだよ。
Yeah, it is.
Rikako-san, ご無事ですか?
Apparently, Takumi-san didn't like the Umatsu family, or the four head families in general. Now that I thought about it, though, wasn't she as disliked as Kiyono Tsukishi? The villagers in general weren't fond of Ryaku Umatsu. It seemed like a pretty obvious outcome, though. Yasuizu was the settlement for the ostracized. It was impossible for a member of one of the head families who openly spurred them to form a good relationship with the locals. Ryaku-san emerged before too long. She was wearing her usual strange getup, and she didn't seem any different from how she looked yesterday. We moved on to the next house. It felt like Ryaku-san was urging me, so I woke the girl up.
Meiko-chan, 朝だよ.
Well, I couldn't imagine Ryaku-san raising her voice, while the other two probably didn't feel like they had to get involved with the girl. After a few calls, she finally came out, still half asleep.
Meiko, よかった。
キヨ、二人を食堂まで連れて行ってやれ。
リカコさん、こちらへ。足元に気をつけて。
はい。
She was apparently trying to get my attention, so I turned around and said yes.
ごめんなさい。
Her sudden apology left me completely confused. She then departed alongside the other two, leaving me alone with Takumi-san.
いいんですか? 清之助さんがいなくて。
どうせ役に立たねえ。植松の坊主もどきがくたばってたら運ばせようと思ってたけどよ。もう誰がやられたか分かったから。
まだ狼じじい氏の可能性も。
適当言うな。おやっさんが生きてたら誰より早起きしてとっくに休みずを3週くらいはしてるっつうんだ。すまねえ。奥野がおやっさんの家だ。
So, I don't understand though. So, if like, it's part of their safety thing to like bathe and pray and stay away from everybody else, but what's the point of like isolating yourself if they're still gonna kill you anyways? Like, why wouldn't you all just stay together or have multiple groups of people stay together so if the wolves attacked, other people would know who the wolves were? Because they can't kill more than one person a night, right? So if the wolves came and they can only kill one person, then the rest of the group would know who the wolves were. So if they just have one big group where everyone stayed together at night, that makes sense to me. Ha! I figured it out. Figured out a way around this. I followed him in silence. I couldn't think of anything to say. The fact the door was unlocked made it clear that something wasn't right. The moment I opened it, my nostrils were assaulted by a smell I'd experienced just yesterday. The reek of a fresh corpse. Alrighty. Well guys, I am gonna end this video here. So thank you so much for watching. Remember, if you like the video, make sure to hit like and subscribe, and you'll get notified when I post new videos. And I hope you're enjoying the story so far. I sure am. Thank you so much, guys, and you have a good rest of your day. Take care, okay?